We're finally here in Austin, Texas at the Naturally Fit Games, where over 35 vegans will be taking part in CrossFit, powerlifting, and bodybuilding.
Plantbuilt actually started because of meeting Tori Washington, who also goes by the Vegan Dread. Giacomo and I were doing a Veg Fest in Atlanta, Georgia, and he just happened to wander by our booth. Afterwards, we were talking, we were like, there are so many of us. There are so many vegan athletes that like dispel this myth that vegans are weak and scrawny all over the place. Can you imagine if they all came together and competed at once, the impact that that could have? If you go to a bodybuilding show that has one vegan and they place well, you hear from a dozen people, well, he has great genetics. Or something along that line, something like, well, he did really well in spite of his vegan diet. And we wanted to bring together a group of people that prove, no, we're doing well because of our vegan diet.
Going into a gym, you like when there's other fit and focused people working out, no matter what. If you're going in to work out, it makes it so much easier if there's other people who look good and are working hard. But take it up a notch and say there's people here who are working hard to save the world, to improve, the lives of animals, to improve the health of the population, to reduce, the impact on the environment by changing people's diets and informing people. Having that kind of incentive and all these hardworking people together, it's just incredibly inspiring.
People look at me like, what? When I say, I don't eat any meat or dairy or anything, and I just was so curious to find out what the other vegans do and what do they eat, and how do they do this and succeed?
It's been a long time coming. I think everyone feels that way because they know they're just building up to this day. My bodybuilding shifted when I went vegan because I was lifting for the cause more than for myself. It used to be a totally selfish endeavor, and now it's kind of like I just want us to look great. So I just want to do good to prove a point. I'm the king of second places. I've gotten second place 10 times over the last 18 years of competitive bodybuilding. Last year, Will Tucker, who's also on our Plantbuilt team, beat me in the Masters bodybuilding, and he returns again. So Tucker might take me out again. I mean, they're giving out a pro card, so I really hope he or I get a pro card, so that'd be great. Be good for the team.
Next up, number 37, Austin Barbish. He would like to say that he would like to inspire those to live long and promote veganism. Let's give it up for Austin Barbish.
In second place, number 30, Will Tucker.
Look at Austin!
Which means that our first place contestant is number 37, Austin Barbish.
And I love my vegan Plantbuilt team. Yeah, I'm not doing this for myself anymore. I'm doing it for the animals that can't speak for themselves.
Thank you, congratulations. Open men's bodybuilding light heavyweight champion, Mr. Corin Sutton. So if I was to try this vegan diet, because I don't know where my man is, where's my vegan dread? Is he in here somewhere? Someone told me you couldn't be big if you were vegan. I think they lied, because I just found it in Canada.
So the stereo stereotype with bodybuilding is that it's a very vain, selfish sport. Honestly, I didn't know a lot about it. But being here with the Plantbuilt team and hearing everyone talk about veganism, and someone who one even said, I'm doing this for the animals, and seeing the team support has been such an experience for me, and it's given me a totally different perspective on this sport.
I actually grew up in a village of 40 people called Middleville, Ontario. My parents live in a log house on 12 acres of forest. I've always loved nature. I've always loved, looking at the deer, and they'll basically eat out of our hands. We have so many of them. Every year hunting season would roll around, and we would just be so stressed out and miserable, and guns firing constantly, and seeing dead deer slung in the back of pickup trucks, and it was horrifying to me as a kid. My mom used to let me skip school during hunting season, and I'd make all these little picket signs that said, hunting is murder, and I'd go to the four-way intersection in the village, and every time I'd see a truck drive by, or like orange hunting gear like through the windshield, I'd with my picket signs, and so I decided at 8 years old I didn't want to eat animals anymore. There's no way I would ever go back.
I just thought I would ask, what made you decide to go vegan?
For the animals. I started for my health and it stuck for the animals.
Just curious.
Since I've been a bodybuilder, my first contest, when I went backstage, I said I was vegan. And everyone's like, what, really? How? Like, how do you even do that? And just in the last 4 years or so that I've been competing as a bodybuilder, now everyone's very accepting and very just acknowledging that you can do it and that it's perfectly healthy and perfectly competitive. It's not even a detriment to your performance.
What do you think?
In second place, 74 Chad Byron.
Which means our first place competitor is number 75, Derek
For years and years, it was meat, dairy, eggs, and like a couple pieces of broccoli, and that is the basis of a bodybuilding diet or a bodybuilding preparation diet. Like when you're cutting down for the show, your carbs drop very, very low, or your fat will drop very, very low, or both will drop very, very low. Pretty much the exact opposite of what you would consider a healthy, balanced vegan diet to be. So wondering, well, how can you do this as a vegan was what really, really piqued my curiosity.
Everybody approaches it differently. My first show ever, I was eating fruit right up until competition day. Right now, I have not eaten fruit in months. There is an unhealthy side of it, and often with bikini especially, you'll hear people say, oh, it's not a matter of who has the most muscle, it's who starved themselves the most or the longest, and that's disturbing in a way.
In a world where there's so much emphasis on body and body image and eating disorders and orthorexia, it was tough to come in here and see this and see people who are promoting themselves and promoting their own bodies in the name of veganism. But I've learned a lot, and I've learned to see it as an athletic endeavor. And I'm still not sure exactly what I think and how I feel about people doing this and how this affects not just veganism, but the world in general.
People look at competitors on stage and say, I want to look like that. Like, I want to get healthy and I want to look like that. And the fact of the matter is that the healthiest bodybuilder on a stage is not the healthiest person. You're putting your body under a ton of stress and making it do something it is not naturally designed to do. And that is a very, very important thing for people to understand. It's an extreme sport, and like most extreme sports, there's a line that you sometimes cross from the epitome of healthy into, well, maybe we're pushing the boundaries here a little bit.
You have to cut calories, you have to do extra exercise, you have to do carb manipulations, things like this, to force that extra little bit of fat off your body, because essentially it's starving. And to get those deep cuts in the muscles and those big veins and everything that bodybuilders have on stage, for men you need to be like 3% body fat. And for women, you need to be like 8 to 10%, which is equally low for them. That is a very temporary state.
As great of a sport as it is and as much fun as it can be, it can also lead you down a path that's very negative. You're being judged and scrutinized on the most aesthetic, subjective level possible. And you know, oftentimes, yeah, if you win first place, you feel like $1 million, like king of the world. And then if you don't place well, then it's kind of hard not to focus on the things that the judges tell you, aren't your best strengths. Just because these strangers don't like your body doesn't mean that 1 million other people in the world don't think it's perfect.
It wasn't until I got here and saw bodybuilding in the context of a sport that I recognized how hard they work as athletes in bodybuilding.
So the way I got into competing was actually a very, very long process. I mostly watched from the sidelines, but I knew I wasn't ready for it. I knew what it took, and it was a lot of dedication and hard work and unpleasantries, and I wasn't ready for that. And then one day I was just like, I'm just gonna do it. I can do it now. I feel confident. And that was just this past year.
You know what? I wasn't nervous at all until yesterday. Like the nerves started to kick in, like, oh my God, my body's not responding exactly the way I thought it was going to. And where are my abs right now? They're elusive creatures. So, but today it's starting to come together, and it's just, you gotta trust the process.
Vegan protein. She said that she is up here on stage today because my Plantbuilt teammate inspired her to finally bite the bullet and go for it. Her biggest challenge has been...
If I don't place in Austin, I think I'll be disappointed for sure, because there is a very real possibility that I won't place. I will be okay with that because I still held true to my morals. That's a really big deal to me, that this isn't just to get me through to Austin. I'm not, you know, I'm living a vegan lifestyle. This is for beyond that.
Number 56, Julie Villarreal. Number 54, Ashley Harrison. And number 57, Stephanie Gomez.
In second place, we have number 56, Julie Villarreal.
Which means our vegan ice cream eating herself, first place goes to number 54, Ashley Harrison.
I was just in shock because I tried so hard not to let myself get to that place where people had told me that I was gonna get it. So in my mind the whole time I was just thinking, please don't call 54, please don't call 54. And then they did it, and I was just like, yes, it happened. I was very excited. It was really fun.
Number 96, Samantha Shorty. Samantha comes to us from Vancouver, British Columbia. Here we go. In second place, your WNBF Naturally Fit Bikini Doll, number 98, Tara Stevens.
Which means your winner is number 96, Samantha Shorty.
I'm used to being bikini, I'm used to being last. By that point, they've seen enough naked flexing bodies for a lifetime. So being in the overalls for bikini, the dead last thing of the entire event, I was not expecting the response that I did, and to get out there and so much energy, the whole team screaming like crazy and just cheering me on. I've never felt more loved and confident and supported in my life.
Your Naturally Fit Super Show Bikini overall winner is number 96, Samantha Shorty.
I can do my George Costanza. That's it for me, everybody. Thank you very much.
The real take-home message of Plantbuilt is that we're doing this for the animals. And I cannot stress that enough. This isn't about any one person being a rock star athlete. This isn't even about a small group of people being rock star athletes. We're just here to show that you don't need to participate in unethical dietary practices just to maintain your physique, just to maintain your athletic abilities, just because you want to build muscle. You can do all of those things without eating animals. I was preparing myself to be one of the only people on the team who didn't place because my class was a lot bigger than I anticipated and it was stacked. Like, I felt like the girls all looked amazing and were a lot bigger and leaner than I am. And the judges didn't even look at me once during pre-judging. They barely glanced at me, so I just felt like I had to be ready to not do well.
16, yes ma'am. In third place, number 48, Tiffany Burrich.
Our second place winner, number 21, E.A. Montgomery.
Which means our first place winner is number 49, Danny Taylor. Congratulations.
You're amazing.
You know, normally, you just kind of try to keep your composure, but you're just happy about it. I didn't even care, and then the whole team was getting misty-eyed together for her and with her, and it was great.
I felt myself losing my composure and I just thought, like, nope, you gotta keep it together. And I looked out at the audience and everybody was screaming and I locked eyes with Ed Bauer for a split second and he was crying and then I just lost it because Ed is like the epitome of masculinity. Ed doesn't cry. He was crying like these happy tears and then the more I looked around, everybody was. And then I just couldn't keep it together anymore. So for somebody who doesn't even like to be in public speaking at all, I cried on stage in a bikini in front of hundreds of people. So it was a pretty big step for me, I would say.
You're not doing this for yourself. You're doing this for the message, which for us is animal rights and animal welfare. However we can lead people to veganism by example, by showcasing what we do, whether it's bodybuilding, CrossFit, powerlifting, mixed martial artists, anything, fitness models, whatever it is, that's a win for us and a win for the animals.
One of the things I was trying to remember this whole time is it's true, whether I place or I don't place, it doesn't change that I got here by living this cruelty-free lifestyle. No one can take that away from me. So many people on social media and Instagram are telling us how we're inspiring them, but what's inspiring us? And that's doing this for the right reasons.
It means so much, not to us personally, but to the movement as a whole. And you know that there are these capable spokespeople out there for a healthy vegan lifestyle, changing the myth. One day the stereotype is going to be that vegans are like jacked athletes. So that's what I would like to see 5 or 10 years from now.
As we've learned and seen a lot of recently is there are many health and athletic benefits to a vegan diet. And the ethical component of that is lost on a lot of athletes. But the Plantbuilt team have made ethical veganism and the animals an absolute priority. Many times athletes were on stage or on the podium. They talked about that they are there for the animals and they are ethical vegans. And they brought a very strong message to a fitness crowd that doesn't ever hear that. And it was phenomenal to see and super exciting. And I'm very thankful for all of them and the work that they do.
Go vegan!